All right, guys, we'll bring it to discussion. I've got a lot to say on this. Obviously, just having fought in this war, but also spending the last couple of days talking to individuals that I've served with and know really well that are very closely connected to, if not hands-on, with this zero-unit program that this one individual was part of. But let's keep it broad and talk about all the Afghans that were brought here after the fall of Kabul, the fall of Afghanistan. The numbers are here and there, around 80,000 through this Operation Allies Welcome. Alicia, I don't know how, because I pulled from the DHS website. This was basically stored. This was the press release that went out closer to 2021. 400 personnel were sent to 5 or 6 different countries to screen, I guess, what would have been 80,000 people. And they want us to believe they were properly screened and that we only brought in the people we could.
Problem too, Joey, when you point out so aptly that, they're said that they're going to live in your community. What this shows us is that it doesn't even matter if they live in your community or not, because some of them, like this particular suspect, Lochinwall, is willing to drive across the country from Washington State, leaving behind his 5 children and his wife in their apartment to commit a heinous attack on members of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., allegedly. And at the Farragut North Metro Station, which I'm sure you're familiar with, Washington, D.C., is only a couple blocks away from the White House. From the White House. Talk about premeditation and applauding the Department of Justice for pursuing this case to the absolute maximum ability of the law.
Now we have 2 National Guardsmen, one dead and one that may survive, directly linked to an immigration failure of the Biden administration. So this week's attack highlights the danger Americans still face thanks to 4 years of Biden's open border policy. So now President Trump is taking additional steps to keep our country safe, announcing a permanent pause on all migration from third world countries and ordering a full-scale review of every green card holder from a country of concern. These countries include Libya, Yemen, Iran. And the State Department has paused all visas for individuals traveling on Afghan passports. Under President Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, nearly 90,000, as I said earlier, Afghan nationals arrived in the U.S., while a total of 190,000 have migrated since 2021. And now serious concerns are being raised over whether the vetting was thorough, as alleged by the Biden administration.
Welcome back, guys. Let's talk about something serious that's been getting a lot of attention across the US. The vetting process of Afghani migrants and why it's suddenly under heavy criticism. When we talk about immigration in the US, especially about people coming from Afghanistan after the fall of Kabul, the conversation always gets heated. Today, I want to react to something that is once again in the news. The vetting process of Afghani migrants who entered the United States during Operation Allies Welcome. This has been a major point of discussion, and honestly, a lot of Americans want clarity. They want to know how secure the process is, what went wrong, and what is being done to fix it going forward. So let's break this down in simple, straightforward terms. After the US withdrew from Afghanistan, thousands of Afghans were evacuated. Many of them worked with American forces, helped the military, or served as interpreters. These people were promised safely, and the US had a moral responsibility to protect them. But at the same time, Americans want to feel safe too. They want assurance that the people entering the country are properly checked, and that's exactly where the debate starts. According to the discussions happening right now, especially on platforms like Fox News, many panelists believe the vetting process had gaps. They are saying that the number of migrants was so high and the time window was so tight that some important security steps might have been rushed or skipped. That's not a small accusation. In their view, when you bring tons of thousands of people into the US in a short period, you need a rock solid system to verify identity, background, and any possible security risk. And that's questioning whether that system was strong enough. From the government side, officials have repeatedly said that they did follow proper vetting procedures. They have mentioned that multiple agencies were involved: the Department of Homeland Security, the State Department, the intelligence community, and even international partners. But the criticism remains. Was it enough? Did they have enough time? Were the database large enough to confirm identities from a collapsed country? Another issue being discussed is that Afghanistan does not have a reliable national ID system like the US. Some people do not even have formal documents. When a country falls apart, paperwork becomes chaotic. So verifying someone's background becomes exactly difficult, and that creates uncertainty. That's why critics say vetting needs to be tighter, deeper, and updated with new procedures that work even in crisis situations. But here's another side of the argument. A large number of Afghans who arrived here were extremely vulnerable people. These are families, children, women, and elderly individuals who lost everything. Many of them directly helped US forces. Some risked their lives for America. So when these discussions turn journalism into generalizations, there is a fear that loyal allies may be seen unfairly. Many veterans and military supporters have spoken out, saying that abandoning Afghan allies would be morally wrong and extremely damaging for future operations, because other countries may not trust the US if it fails to protect its partners. So clearly, this conversation is not one sided. There's a balance that needs to be found: national security on one hand and honoring America's commitments on the other. And that's where today's argument becomes so sensitive. Critics are not saying kick everyone out. They are saying make sure the process is strong, make sure nothing is overlooked, make sure we protect American citizens while also helping people who truly helped us. One issue that keeps coming up is the speed of the evacuation. Many experts say that the entire operation was rushed because the Taliban looked control Taliban took control much faster than expected. That sudden collapse left very little time for structured vetting. A lot of a lot of screening had to be completed after the migrants arrived in the United States instead of before. That alone created concern among many Americans because they feel the screening should happen overseas before people step foot inside the country. Another thing being discussed is the future of the immigration system overall. If crises happen again in Afghanistan or other countries, the US needs a system that is prepared, modern, and fast, but also reliable. People want reforms that make sense. They want technology and can verify identities even in the war zones. They want better cooperation between agencies, and most importantly, they want transparency. Americans don't like feeling left in the dark, especially about national security. At the end of the day, this topic is not simple. It involves national security, moral responsibility, global politics, and humanitarian values. And every American watching this has their own reaction. Some feel compensation and believe the US should welcome these families with open arms. Others feel caution and believe security should come first no matter what. And many are somewhere in the middle, wanting to help but also wanting reassurance that the system is safe. My personal reaction is this: both sides have valid points. Helping allies is important, but protecting the country is also important. What truly matters is improving the system so mistakes are avoided and people feel informed and secure. If the vetting process had gaps, then the government should acknowledge them and fix them. If the process was strong, then they should show the evidence and ease public concerns. What we need is transparency, honesty, and strong action going forward. That's what America expects. That's what America deserves. Tell me what you think. Should the system be tougher, more transparent, or completely redesigned? Drop your thoughts in the comment and I will see you in the next video.